Hello, everyone. I'm Natasha, your host for today. If you're new here, I'd like to let you know we upload a brand new English learning video every single day. These lessons are designed to help you improve your English faster and more naturally. In today's episode, you'll not only improve your English listening skills, but also sharpen your ability to understand real life conversations. We're diving into a very practical and very important topic that will boost both your fluency and comprehension. How to understand fast native English speakers. We'll go through real-life listening examples and explore common speaking patterns that native speakers use every day. This will help you catch natural English, follow the flow of sentences, and pick up useful expressions and rhythms. Whether you're watching movies, listening to podcasts, or having a conversation with native speakers, understanding their speed and style is essential if you want to become fluent. By the end of this video, you'll understand why native speakers talk so fast, how to train your brain to keep up with them, and I'll guide you through practical exercises that will boost your confidence the next time you hear fast English. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon if you want more helpful English learning episodes like this. So, grab a pen and paper, and let's get started. One of the most common challenges English learners face is trying to understand native speakers when they speak quickly. If you've ever watched a movie in English or listened to a native speaker talk in real life, you've probably noticed that the words often sound different from what you studied in books. This can be frustrating, especially when you already know the vocabulary and grammar. But when native speakers talk fast, it suddenly becomes hard to catch what they're saying. The truth is, native English speakers often connect their words, reduce sounds, and use expressions or slang that make the sentences sound much faster and less clear to learners. But don't worry. The good news is, you can train yourself to understand fast English with time, practice, and the right strategies. One important thing to understand is that native speakers don't always pronounce every single word clearly. For example, instead of saying, "What are you doing?" they might say, "What you doin'?" Or instead of, "I'm going to," they might say, "I'm gonna." These shortcuts or reductions are very natural and happen in real-life conversations all the time. They aren't lazy or incorrect. They're just part of how fluent speech works. So, to understand native speakers, you don't need to learn more difficult vocabulary. You need to learn how real spoken English sounds. You need to listen to the flow, the rhythm, and the common patterns that people use. Once your ears are trained to these sounds, it becomes much easier to understand fast English, even if someone is talking quickly. Here's a simple daily life example. Imagine you're in a coffee shop. You hear someone say, "Can I get a large latte with oat milk, please?" But it sounds like, "Can I get a large latte with wide milk, please?" All the words blend together. If you try to separate each word one by one, you might get confused. But if you've practiced listening to that kind of natural flow, your brain will quickly recognize the pattern and meaning. That's what we're going to work on in this lesson, training your brain to expect real spoken English and helping you follow it more easily. Now let's do a practice exercise. I'll say a short phrase naturally, and you try to write down what you hear. Then I'll slow it down and explain the sentence. Ready? Here's the first one. What do you want to do tonight? Did you catch it? Try writing it down. Now, let's slow it down. What do you want to do tonight? This is how it sounds when spoken naturally. What do you want to do tonight? You see how the sounds are reduced? This happens a lot in fast English. Practicing with these kinds of phrases will improve your listening skills dramatically. Let's try another one. Listen carefully. I'm going to head out in a bit. Try to write what you heard. Now let's slow it down. I'm going to head out in a bit. In fast speech, it becomes, I'm gonna head out in a bit. The words in a bit almost sound like in a bit. This kind of listening practice helps you understand how words are grouped and pronounced quickly. If you practice this regularly, you'll notice improvement in a few weeks. Your ears will start catching the real meaning behind fast speech, even when the words sound different from what you expect. When you're trying to understand fast English, one of the most helpful things you can do is focus on what's called content words. Content words are the important words in a sentence, like nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs that carry the main meaning. Native speakers often stress these words, even when they speak quickly. Function words like and, but, the, is, and are usually said more quietly or quickly, and sometimes they're barely noticeable. So instead of trying to hear every single word, train yourself to catch the content words. For example, if someone says, I was thinking about going to the movies tonight, it might come out like, I was thinking about going to the movies night. If you catch the words thinking, going, and movies, you still understand the message. Your brain can fill in the rest. Another helpful technique is to practice shadowing. Shadowing means you listen to a native speaker and immediately repeat what they say, trying to match their rhythm, intonation, and speed as closely as possible. This exercise trains both your ears and your mouth. It helps you get used to how words are connected and what natural speech feels like. You can use YouTube videos, podcasts, or TV shows for shadowing practice. Start with short clips, just 1 or 2 minutes, and replay them several times. At first, just listen. Then repeat each sentence aloud. Don't worry if it feels hard. With time, your brain will get faster at processing natural English. Let's try a shadowing practice together. I'll say a short sentence at a natural speed. Then I'll pause so you can repeat after me. Ready? Did ya see what happened at the meeting? Again, did ya see what happened at the meeting? This is how many native speakers say, did you see what happened at the meeting? Notice how did you becomes did ya. Now you try it. Repeat the sentence with the same tone and rhythm. The more you do this, the more comfortable you will become. Listening to native speakers doesn't just mean watching English movies or shows. You need to actively listen. That means paying close attention, pausing often, replaying parts, and repeating out loud. Try to notice how the speaker connects words, how their voice goes up and down, and how they pause between ideas. Many learners make the mistake of watching an entire show with subtitles and thinking they are practicing listening. But if you're reading the subtitles, your brain isn't learning to listen, it's just reading. Instead, try watching a scene without subtitles first. Try to catch as much as you can. Then, watch it again with subtitles to check your understanding. Finally, turn off the subtitles and repeat the lines out loud. This 3-step method will help you improve faster. Here's another practice exercise. I'll say a fast, natural sentence. You try to write it down, and then I'll explain it slowly. Ready? Gotta finish this by 5 or I'll be late. Try writing what you heard. Now let's break it down. I have got to finish this by 5 o'clock or I will be late. But in natural speech, we say, gotta finish this by 5 or I'll be late. Notice how got to becomes gotta, and or I will becomes Ryle. These reductions are very common, and practicing them helps you both understand and speak more fluently. Another tip is to listen to the same materials many times. Repetition is powerful. The first time you listen, you might only understand 50%, but by the 5th or 6th time, you'll begin to understand almost everything. This is because your brain starts to recognize patterns, phrases, and sounds more quickly. Choose a few short videos or audio clips and make them part of your daily routine. Listen while walking, cooking, or relaxing. Passive listening, combined with focused, active practice, is a great way to develop your ear for fast English. One reason native speakers sound so fast is because they don't pause between words like learners do. They link words together, creating one smooth sound. This is known as connected speech. When native speakers talk, the final sound of one word connects with the beginning of the next. For example, instead of saying turn off the light with a pause between each word, a native speaker will say turn off the light, like it's one single word. Another common one is going to, which becomes gonna. These connections happen so often that at first they sound like a completely new word. But once you recognize these common linkings, it becomes much easier to follow the sentence and understand the full meaning without getting stuck. Let's look at a sentence and break it down. I have to go to the store. When said slowly, that sounds clear, but in fast native speech, it becomes, I have to go to the store. Try repeating it with me. I have to go to the store. This helps your ear get used to the sound of fast English and your mouth get used to saying it. By practicing how native speakers actually say things, you train your brain to process real English, not textbook English. This is key to understanding fast conversations. Sometimes, you'll hear entire chunks of phrases that come together in a way that makes it hard to tell where one word ends and another begins. This is why you might hear, do you want to grab something to eat? Instead of, do you want to grab something to eat? The words do you become do, and want to becomes wanna. These are not slang words. They're just part of the natural rhythm of speech. You don't need to speak this way at first, but being able to recognize these patterns will make you understand native English much better. Let's do another exercise. Listen carefully. Want to come over for dinner tonight? Try writing down what you think I said. Now let's slow it down. Do you want to come over for dinner tonight? See how many words were reduced and connected? Try repeating the fast version again. Want to come over for dinner tonight? These are the real-world phrases you need to practice with. Write them down, repeat them, and say them out loud until they feel natural. Now here's a short daily life story for practice. Imagine this. You're texting your friend, and she calls you instead. She says, Hey, I was just wondering if you're free later. Want to catch a movie or something? The way she says it is super fast. Hey, was just wondering if you're free later. Want to catch a movie or something? If you're not trained to hear fast English, you might only catch the last part, maybe movie or something. But if you've been practicing listening to real speech, you'll be able to recognize each part. You'll know that was just wondering if you're free becomes was just wondering if you're free, and you'll be able to respond confidently without needing to ask her to repeat. Repetition and slow buildup is what helps your brain adjust. Try listening to short conversations and mimicking how the speakers talk. Use audio clips from podcasts or videos where people speak naturally, not too scripted. This gives you a better sense of real-world English and helps you improve faster. Also, don't be afraid to rewind and listen to the same part again and again. Your listening ability improves when you hear the same sound patterns over time and begin to expect them. Understanding fast English isn't about learning more grammar. It's about listening to real people and training your ears. If you do this every day, for even 10 minutes, you'll start noticing the change in a few weeks. And once your brain gets used to the way native English sounds, everything else Speaking, reading, and even writing becomes easier and more natural. Another challenge many learners face is not recognizing common expressions because they're used to hearing each word clearly. But in real life, native speakers often use fixed phrases and idioms that are spoken quickly. And if you're not familiar with them, they can sound like a blur. For example, expressions like, "How's it going?" may sound like, "How's it goin'?" or "What have you been up to?" becomes, "What you been up to?" These are very common greetings or small talk expressions that are used in everyday conversations. So, building your listening skills also means becoming familiar with these everyday phrases and how they sound in fast, connected speech. The more you hear them, the more your brain will begin to expect them and understand them naturally. Let's try an exercise based on real-life small talk. Imagine someone says to you, "Hey, long time no see. How have you been?" When spoken quickly, it sounds like, "Hey, long time no see. How have you been?" Now let's break it down. Long time no see is a casual way to say, you haven't seen someone in a while. How have you been turns into, how have you been? If you've heard this expression many times, you won't be surprised when it comes up. This is why listening to the same phrases repeatedly, in natural contexts, is powerful. It prepares your brain to process real-world conversations automatically. You can also make your own listening practice routine more effective by choosing content that matches your interests. If you love sports, listen to sports interviews or commentary. If you like cooking, watch cooking shows in English. The key is to stay consistent and listen to material that keeps you engaged. That way, even if the speaker is talking fast, your brain will stay focused and start picking up the patterns and common vocabulary more easily. Remember, you don't have to understand every single word. Try to catch the main ideas, the important phrases, and the tone of voice. Here's another practice paragraph to help you train your listening and comprehension. I'll say a full sentence at native speed, then we'll slow it down and explain. Listen to this. Could you bring me a glass of water when you come back? Now, write down what you heard. Let's break it down. Could you bring me a glass of water when you come back? In natural speech, could you becomes could-ya, and glass of sounds like glassa. These changes happen quickly in speech, but they follow patterns. The more you recognize these patterns, the easier it becomes to understand, even long or complex sentences. Let's take a short story as another example. You're in a grocery store and hear someone on the phone saying, "Yeah, I'm just grabbing a few things. Don't think I'll be too long. Want to meet at the cafe in 20?" That sounds fast, right? But if we break it down, you'll understand the message. "Yeah, I'm just grabbing a few things. I don't think I will be too long. Do you want to meet at the cafe in 20 minutes?" Fast speech cuts out unnecessary pauses, reduces sounds, and flows more like music than writing. That's why it's so important to train by listening to full conversations and not just single words or grammar rules. Listening to English is a skill that develops over time. Think of it like tuning your ear to music. At first, it sounds unfamiliar and too fast. But the more you listen, the more you notice the rhythm and the repeated patterns. Then, slowly, it begins to make sense. One day, you'll listen to a conversation and realize you understood it all, even the fast parts. That's the goal. And it's absolutely possible with regular practice and patience. Another helpful trick for understanding fast native English is to become familiar with sentence stress and intonation. In English, not every word is said with equal strength. Native speakers naturally stress certain words more than others, and this stress gives you clues about the meaning. Usually, the most important words, like the main verb, nouns, or adjectives, are stressed. Words like the, and, is, or to are said quickly and quietly. For example, in the sentence, she went to the store to buy some milk, the words went store, buy, and milk are stressed. The rest are spoken quickly and softly. So even if you only hear the stressed words, you can still understand the message. This is why it's important to train your ear to catch those strong words instead of focusing on hearing every single syllable. Now let's try a practice exercise. I'll say a sentence naturally, and your job is to pick out the key stressed words. Ready? I didn't really like the movie we watched last night. Listen again. I didn't really like the movie we watched last night. What words did you hear most clearly? Most likely, you caught didn't, like, movie, watched, and night. These carry the main meaning. The rest help connect the ideas, but aren't as important for basic understanding. Try this kind of practice regularly. Just pick any English sentence and try to hear the stress. It builds your listening accuracy over time. If you want to understand fast speakers in daily life, practicing listening in context is critical. Instead of only listening to single sentences or isolated words, focus on whole conversations. When you hear how words are used in real situations, like at the coffee shop, on public transport, or in a casual phone call, you get a much better sense of rhythm and speed. Let's take a real-life conversation example. Imagine two coworkers talking during a lunch break. One says, "Hey, I'm heading out to grab a bite. You want anything?" The phrase heading out is a natural way of saying heading out, and grab a bite means to get something to eat. When spoken quickly, it sounds like one continuous phrase. I'm heading out, grab a bite. At first, this seems too fast, but when you know what to expect, it becomes easier to follow. To get better at this, try listening and reading at the same time. Find a video or podcast with subtitles or a transcript. First, listen while reading the script to match the spoken and written forms. Then, try listening again without the text to test your understanding. This dual practice connects your reading and listening skills and helps you recognize common spoken forms. For example, you might know how going to looks on paper, but hearing gonna in real speed will become easier once you've seen both forms side by side a few times. Let's do another story-based exercise. Imagine this scene. It's raining, and you're walking with your friend who says, "Should have brought an umbrella, huh?" That's a fast way of saying, "You should have brought an umbrella, right?" In real speech, should have becomes shoulda. These short forms, like shoulda, woulda, coulda, are everywhere in English conversation. So when you hear, coulda told me earlier, you now know it means, you could have told me earlier. These phrases are part of what makes spoken English feel so fast, but once you're familiar with them, you'll begin to hear them clearly and naturally. Remember, your goal is not to understand word by word, but idea by idea. Listen for meaning, not perfection. Focus on the message. Trust your instincts. If you practice consistently, your listening will improve. And one day, you'll find yourself following a fast conversation without even thinking about it. Let's talk about how you can train your brain every day to get better at understanding fast English. First, start with short, real conversations. Don't begin with long interviews or movies. Those can feel overwhelming. Instead, find a short video clip with natural speech, around 1 or 2 minutes long. Listen to the clip several times. On your first listen, just try to catch the main idea. Don't worry about every word. On the second listen, write down what you hear. Then, listen again with the script if available, and compare what you heard to the actual words. You'll start noticing which parts you missed and why. Maybe you weren't expecting a reduced form, or maybe two words blended together. This kind of repeated, focused listening trains your brain faster than passive listening alone. It's also helpful to use the shadowing technique. This means listening to a native speaker and repeating what they say immediately after. Try to match their speed, pronunciation, and rhythm. You don't have to be perfect. The goal is to train your mouth and ears to move with the language. Pick a simple clip and repeat it sentence by sentence. You'll notice how your tongue, jaw, and breathing start to adjust. Over time, this makes both your speaking and listening stronger. And the more you shadow fast English, the more familiar it becomes. You'll no longer feel surprised or confused by native speed. You'll be ready for it. Let's take a final practice scene. Imagine two friends talking at a coffee shop. One says, "Hey, sorry I'm late. Traffic was nuts. You been waiting long?" The listener replies, "Nah, just got here. Grabbed us a couple of lattes." Now, let's break this down. Traffic was nuts means the traffic was very bad or crazy. You been waiting long is a reduced form of have you been waiting long? And grabbed us a couple lattes means I bought two lattes for us. This is the kind of language you'll hear every day, natural, fast, and full of shortcuts. If you practice with conversations like this, you'll become much more comfortable with native speed. Consistency is key. 10 minutes of focused listening every day is more valuable than an hour once a week. Treat your listening practice like exercise, small, steady sessions. Give the best results. Mix in different types of content: casual chats, interviews, podcasts, and shows. Make it fun and interesting for you. If you enjoy the content, you'll listen more. And the more you listen, the better your brain will get at catching the speed, patterns, and flow of fast English. So, if you feel frustrated when you listen to native English and it feels too fast, remember this: you're not alone. Every learner has this experience. It's not about your intelligence, it's just about exposure and practice. And now, you have the tools to get better. Listen daily, repeat what you hear, break down sentences, and focus on meaning. Over time, fast English will no longer feel fast. It will feel natural, it will feel easy, and you will understand it without even trying. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I hope this video helped you gain more confidence and a clear path forward in your English listening journey. If you enjoyed this lesson, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so you never miss another helpful English learning episode. We upload new lessons every day, right here on English in Minutes, to help you reach fluency faster. Until next time, keep practicing, keep listening, and keep believing in yourself. I'm Natasha, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.